Now, in order to get started with TypeScript, the first thing that we need to do is to install the node.js runtime. Node.js is a standard development tool used for developing both backend as well as front-end applications for JavaScript as well as TypeScript. Now, in order to install Node.js, open up your browser and head on over to nodejs.org. Now, the homepage will try to give you a version of Node.js that you should download and install for your operating system, but in case you want to look at all the available options, you can head on over to the download page and then select the installer specific to your requirements. Now, once you have the installer downloaded and executed, you can verify that the installation succeeded by opening up the command prompt or terminal and running the command node ---- version. Now, the specific version of Node.js that I have displayed over here is actually not that important, as the features that we will be using throughout this course are not actually version specific. Now, the Node.js installation also installs 2 additional executables, and we will be using them throughout this course, so we can verify that they are working correctly as well by running npm ---- version and similarly npx ---- version. And that's it for Node.js installation. Now let's go ahead and use Node.js to create our first TypeScript project. We open up a new terminal session, create a new directory specific to our project, and then use the npm init command to create a new Node.js package. We additionally pass in the command line flag -y to select the default options. Node.js packages are the standard way to do front-end as well as back-end software development with JavaScript. Now, because we are using TypeScript, we will additionally install TypeScript by running the command npm i TypeScript. This will install the TypeScript compiler TSC into this particular package. We can run the version of TSC that comes bundled with TypeScript within this package by using npx tsc. And then for command line flags for TSC, we pass in ---- to initialize a new tsconfig. A tsconfig.json file is used to store TypeScript configuration options. Now, for our initial options, we use ---- to specify that all our source code will be located in the src folder, and then a ---- lib to indicate that our output JavaScript code should be generated into the lib folder. Now, once this command executes, it notifies us that it's created a tsconfig.json file. Now, before we start writing TypeScript code, let's talk about IDEs. Now, my recommended IDE for starting web development is VS Code. Visual Studio Code is by Microsoft, the creators of TypeScript, and it is available for free for Windows as well as Mac and Linux. You can go to code.visualstudio.com and you can download it from the homepage, or you can head on over to the download section and get an installer that is more specific to your requirements. Now, once you have Visual Studio Code downloaded and installed, you can use it to open up the project folder that we created earlier. Now let's go ahead and create our first TypeScript source code file under source index.ts. For our basic example, we will create a message variable of type string that we will initialize to the value hello world and use the built-in JavaScript runtime method console.log to log this message to the terminal. Now, TypeScript cannot be executed by Node.js or the browsers by itself. The first step is to actually take the TypeScript source code and compile it to JavaScript that Node.js and browsers can execute. Now, in order to compile the TypeScript files into JavaScript files, we open up the terminal and execute npx tsc, and we will start the TypeScript compiler in watch mode with --watch. This means that if we make any modifications to our source code, it will recompile them on the fly. Now, on its initial compile, it's already generated the output JavaScript into the lib folder. So for our source index.ts file, TypeScript has gone ahead and generated lib index.js file. And as you can see, the index.ts and the index.js file are quite similar. The key difference between the index.ts and the index.js file is that the type annotation for the message variable, that is :string, has been removed when the TS file has been transformed to JavaScript file. Now, once we have the JavaScript file, we can open up a new terminal and use Node to execute this JavaScript file using node lib index.js. And you can see that it simply logs out the message. Now, because we left the TypeScript compiler running in watch mode, if you make any modifications to the TypeScript source code, for example, add additional text to the message variable, the compiler immediately generates the new JavaScript, and if we execute the new code using Node, you can see that we get the updated result. Now, as we've hinted before, the key difference between TypeScript and JavaScript is simply these type annotations, for example, the annotation for string. What this means is that if we try to assign something like a number to a variable that is annotated as string, we get an immediate compile time error instead of something going weird at runtime. So even if you are someone who is new to JavaScript, TypeScript is a great way to get started on your JavaScript journey, as it will help ensure that your code never has any syntactic or type errors. And with that said, congratulations on finishing the first lesson.